who I grew up watching, I think who you know quite well, Mike, and that's Sammy Lee. Little Sammy, who again was someone who really came through the ranks at Liverpool, started his career as an apprentice at Liverpool, played a hell of a lot of games, over 200 games for the Reds. Not really, if I'm trying to be kind here, not really built like your average footballer, you know.
Don't sing that song.
I'm not going to sing the song. We all know the song. He was only 5'7" though, wasn't he? But what he lacked in height, he made up for in just pure effort and skill as well, I think.
Oh, he was a good footballer, Sammy Lee. Make no mistake about it. And when you consider who he took over from, who was still in a really good vein of form when he took over from Jimmy Case on that right-hand side. Jimmy Case was an Anfield favourite. Jimmy Case had lots of different qualities. And, if you look at the amount of goals that he got, and they were always pile drivers, and he was such a great teammate. Sammy Lee, even at the age he was, the Liverpool coaches and the managerial sort of hierarchy, they saw what the Liverpool fans were eventually to see in Sammy Lee. Somebody who was quite happy to be in the engine room and to play a role, and for others to get the glory. Sammy Lee wanted to get the ball. He'd quite often be first receiver when Liverpool were playing out from the back, from the centre defence or full backs, to receive it in a midfield area, ostensibly playing on the right, but he could play anywhere. He popped up all over the park, as all the Liverpool players did then. He'd receive the ball and he'd give the ball, and he, pass and move. Sammy Lee was the epitome of that, of pass and move. And when Liverpool were moving the ball around the pitch, Sammy Lee would always, he would look, if at all possible, to pass it forward, to break the lines, as we say in this sort of modern footballing terminology. But he wanted to make sure that Liverpool were moving the ball around, moving the opposition around. And a fantastic teammate, he so much energy, so much drive. And you look at what he achieved and what Liverpool won when Sammy Lee was playing for them. And it's a formidable array of silverware, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. He was an integral part of that team that won the treble under Joe Fagan, of course, the league, the Milk Cup, and the European Cup. And that was probably when he was in his pomp. You look at that midfield. It was Sammy Lee, Graham Souness, Craig Johnson was there, Ronnie Whelan was there. They were quite interchangeable, I think, as well, didn't it? Sammy Lee and Craig Johnson used to sort of switch roles a little bit as well, and Johnson would go down the right.
Yeah, because Sammy Lee had that adaptability and in the knowledge that Craig Johnson was always likely to maybe, get on the end of things in and around the penalty area, or had a little bit of creative guile. Not to say Sammy Lee didn't score his first share of goals, because he did. I can remember one in the Merseyside derby at Goodison Park in a 2-2 draw. Had a fantastic record against Manchester City for some reason, particularly at Main Road. But great in allowing other players to shine, because Ronnie Whelan was known later on in his career for what he would do more in a midfield sense, in a defensive capacity. But when he broke into the team, Sammy Lee, as you mentioned, would allow Ronnie Whelan to get into advanced positions, and he scored some incredible goals as well, didn't he? The curling right foot shots at Wembley Stadium in the League Cup. Yeah, really, really good, solid, dependable footballer who he kind of underlined the qualities needed to succeed at Liverpool. I mean, basically, to succeed at Liverpool and to do it season after season after season, you've got to have something special. You've got to be able to play football, clearly. You've got to be able to pass the ball. You've got to have a winning mentality. And you've got to do, and he was the king of this, Sammy Lee, sometimes to his detriment. You've got to understand that the team is always more important than you.
Yeah.
And he absolutely did. I think sometimes, maybe in a footballing career sense, he'd sacrifice Sammy Lee, the individual, for what Liverpool and other teams could achieve, in a team sense.
And I think that comes through in the career he had after playing, which was his coaching career. Obviously, he had a couple of spells at Liverpool, also a lot with England and with Everton. We shouldn't forget as well. But he was a very, very good coach, wasn't he?
Yeah, revered in European and world terms, Sammy Lee. And interestingly, you talk about where he played and where he coached. Uh, he went to a reunion fairly recently over to Spain where he played for Osasuna for a time after he left Queen's Park Rangers, and he's really, really well thought of over there, and mentioned quite recently in an article in The Guardian looking back at Osasuna. As an England coach, Sven-Göran Eriksson thought he was invaluable. I remember Sam Allardyce. I know it didn't work out well for Sam Allardyce and Sammy Lee at Everton. That's not for the league position that they achieved, by the way. It was just always going to be awkward Sammy with his Liverpool background, and he ended up getting stick of Everton fans and Liverpool fans. He just couldn't win. But an absolutely top quality coach who'd spend his summers, even when he was playing, towards the end of his career, he'd go on holidays, on coaching holidays. He wouldn't go abroad on holiday. He'd go to spend 3 and 4 weeks in Norway or somewhere else. Loved football.
What a career he had, Sammy Lee.